Welcome to a new episode. Again, this is remembering, thinking, exploring, try to make sense of it. So, thank you for listening. Hello, good morning and happy Saturday. So, something happened yesterday that I want to briefly talk about. So I found myself in a state of, we would say, contrast and sort of like anxiety, and I felt I needed to leave. Sometimes it happens to me. I live in a place where sometimes I don't feel comfortable. Anxiety arises, and I think I need to leave. I need to go and find a place where there is less chaos, less noise, less people bothering me. So I left, and I decided to try and do this kind of an exercise of trying to find sort of like a path of a thinking process which brings me no sense of resistance, because by the time I left home and I went and I got down the hill where I live, I could still have arguments in my head about the anxiety that I was having, and that created more anxiety, then created more frustration, created more, it's the kind of usual reactions. And I said, I'm just going to think about something nice, something that doesn't give me any sense of resistance at all. So I'm not thinking about where I am and the situation I'm in, or where I would like to be. I'm just thinking about something generic, and the idea of having a little camper van just sort of like filled my heart, and I started thinking about a Volkswagen transporter. I drove one as sort of like a van, literally like an empty van, and I found it to Wales, and I found it really comfortable to drive. And I remember the smell of the leather and the physical sensation of the steering wheel. But I often had this image of me in a silver transporter with a sort of like a, I don't know, I think you call it like a rock and roll bed kind of thing. So not as a camper van as such, but just with a bed and a table that I can slide out and do my writing. And I could see myself with the bed made, and like a bed sheet that covered the cushions, and then having like a couple of duvets and propped up on loads of pillows, and there reading my book, and with the sun that was warming up the window, and as a reflection was sending loads of heat inside of the van. And in my daydreaming, I was actually having my cats with me on leads, and I was thinking, this is when I'm going to put their food and their water, what I want to have in the van. I'm going to have like a tank of water. I don't want to have sink or kitchen things. I've got loads of stuff for my camping gear, so that is more than enough, as long as I've got my table, and there is, I'm going to park anyway in a campsite, so I can actually use the toilets in the facilities. So I went really into this amazing daydream while I was walking, and it was beautiful, because then I thought I'm going to have an awning, it's going to be like white with lots of windows. And I can remember the noise of a zip when you're opening the awning. Like, I had used to have boats, so we had loads of those kind of like an awning things, and the zip makes like a kind of a specific noise, and the plastic of the windows is very thick, and it's like a crunchiness. And sort of like a magnetic stickiness onto it, which is what I really remember. And then I could see the sliding door on the right hand side of the van, and the door wide open, this awning that was just like really propped up with all the sides and the covers and everything, and the sun was shining, so the awning is really warm, which is what I really like. And I had sort of like a, I don't know what you call it, like a bamboo kind of cover for the floor, or rattan, I don't know what kind of material it is, or what would you call it in English, or jute, and I had a table, and on top of the table, there's one chair, on the top of the table was my laptop with a mug of coffee, and I could smell fresh coffee in an Italian mocha, and it was just perfection. It was really perfection, and I had no resistance at all whatsoever, and I got taken into a complete different world. And the funny thing was that actually I walked past two, not one, two Volkswagen transporters, with one actually with the guy with the side completely wide open, and he was prepping, being probably Friday, to go away to take his family away. And I actually walked past and I smiled at him and I said, "Oh, I'm just admiring the insides of your van." And I just said bye to him and I left. And I'm thinking, I got something that made me feel just so beautifully in awe and wonder of the energy and the world. And the sun was shining, the sky yesterday was blue, literally not a cloud in the sky, it was just crispy, and it was just perfection. And if you are really imagining something and you are taking your mind into something that it is so beautiful, it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter what happens to you, it doesn't matter anything. You are just in a better, beautiful world. I'm not saying that you've got to be there 100% of the day, because you will live in this like earthly world, which means washing, cleaning, eating, sleeping, and doing the things that we need to do. But most of the rest of the time, we're just spending it complaining about things. And I thought, instead, look at this. I had these beautiful images. And where I lived, I've never seen, because I've done the road so many times, I've never seen a transporter parked there with the doors wide open and these beautiful seats inside. And this guy that you could actually see was happy, probably prepping to take his family away. And then the other one was parked with a lovely family, and they were a couple, and they had like a bike rack at the back, and they were just visiting. And I thought, this is perfection. This is actually how energy works. Really, this is how energy works. And most of the times we would like to have things the easy way around, but we put so much stumbling blocks and so much, the word is eluding me, but just so much construct and so much restrictions in order for us just to have this leap of faith. I've got a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, and she said, I really would like to have like £1 million. And I'm thinking, why do you have to put a number? You can have everything. Like I remember that one day I made a list of all the money that I would like to have, and it ended up, I don't know, adding up to like 55,000. Why do we have to put like a limitation on what we have and what we want? And then I'm thinking, probably if I had £55,000 and I'm still living where I am, I would still be grumpy. If you take me somewhere nice and you give me everything, there is probably still something that makes me grumpy. And it is this something that makes me grumpy that I want to work on, not on having £55,000, because that is not going to take my grumpiness away. I'm not going to say that it's not going to make my life easier, because I'm realistic, but it's not going to take my existential grumpiness away. And this is what I want to work on. But I noticed that if I do an escapism trip where my mind gets lighter, my body gets better, I sleep better, I digest better, I'm feeling hungry, and so I can eat properly, and I am just enjoying and looking really like a kid in a state of awe and wonder for all the possibilities, because I had so many synchronicities lately which are so positive, and even the contrasting one in the end are so positive, because make me realize what I really want in life. So it's already sort of like 9 minutes that I've been chitty-chatting, and again, thank you for listening. But I'm wondering what would happen if you tried something that is, you've got no resistance at all whatsoever in your thoughts. You can think about anything. You can think about animals, you can think about cars, you can think about trips, you can think about sand, you can think about objects, you can think about keys, you can think about shells, you can think about books, and it's anything that actually really sort of makes your life easier, because we tend to make our life so much more complicated. I'm thinking how many times I've said that I've spent my life trying so many different things and like feeling like if I'm standing in the middle of a field with just covered in rakes, and everywhere I went I just stumbled on a rake and it's like hand just came and slammed into my face. But I kept on repeating the same idea. I kept on reinforcing that idea in my mind. So yeah, again, I've been Mathilde, and thank you for listening. So this is it. One episode's done. Now more journaling, more thinking, more walking outdoors and elucubrating, which is always a good verb to use. So if you want to know more about me, you will be able to find me on Instagram, and you are able also to find me on my website, which is www.mathildetomat.com. Okay, see you around. Bye.